tapping. Tap into your purpose. Tapping.
Okay.
Check it. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. We tapping into purpose. Raw purpose. Raw purpose. We tapping into purpose. Raw purpose. Raw purpose.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Zay.
What's good, and it's your boy Rashad.
And this is the Raw on Purpose podcast.
Yes, where we tap into the raw, authentic you while we tap into our purpose. And we're just sharing just great topics, subjects that relate to you and the people as we help share content that's going to help you tap into your purpose while being the raw, authentic you.
That's right. We got a dope one for you today. We got some special guests here in studio with us. Before we do that, you do us a favor. Look us up on YouTube, Raw on Purpose Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can get all the content when it comes out. Follow us on Instagram, Raw on Purpose _, and you can find us on Facebook at Raw on Purpose. If you got any questions, concerns, anything, you can email us, rawonpurpose@gmail.com. And we're streaming on all streaming platforms, so check us out. So, like I said, we got a dope one today. We have some special guests. So it's going to be good. We got some ladies in the house.
Yeah.
Ladies, can y'all introduce yourselves for us?
Hey, I'm Amber.
Hey everybody, I'm Iesha.
Welcome.
Welcome. So bro, what are we talking about today?
Toxic relationships.
Toxic. Straight like that. Toxic relationships. That seems to be like the topic of the day, trying to decipher like how we get into toxic relationships, how do we get out of them, like so many different things. So we're just going to go in, talk about that, and then hopefully pull out how you can move from a toxic relationship into a purposed relationship. So we're just going to dive right in. When you guys think about toxic relationships, what comes to mind?
When I think about toxic relationships, I just think about two people or maybe one person that have unhealthy habits or toxic habits, and it takes a toll on both parties, just through actions, maybe the way somebody treats you, just toxic. Yeah, I feel like we know when something isn't right or when something doesn't feel good or when something isn't healthy. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say just on a spectrum, like if it's not building both partners up, or on the other end, it's, bringing them down, then that is toxic. Like you said, patterns, habits, actions. For example, manipulation comes to mind.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Those narcissistic tendencies and whatnot.
Right.
Especially that word manipulate.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you got to think majority of people, I feel like, kind of self-serve with relationships.
Absolutely.
Manipulation is their tool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and we believe that, or we go into relationships oftentimes thinking about what can we get from the relationship, not asking what can I give to the other person, what can I contribute, what can I add to what a relationship. And that's not just a dating relationship, that's in friendships, that's in a business relationship, that's even in our work relationships, like because we're used to working, it's like I give to get.
Exactly.
Right? If what I give you, I give you my time, you give me a check at the end of it. So that's how we've trained, right? If I give a teacher my attention, or the teacher gives me some information, I have to ace the test that she gives me. Right? So it's like I have to study in order to get this. I have to do, so it's so transactional. So that's what we typically lean into is transactions.
Yeah.
It's like an ATM card.
Mm-hmm.
Like that question of what do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that.
You tired of that?
Yes.
Why?
That discussion is like, well, what do you bring to the table? Like, what exactly what he's saying? Like, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
Or sometimes now they flipped it. They're like, I am the table.
Right.
What does that mean? Like, what does that mean?
Right.
What really? Somebody please explain what does that mean? Being the table or being the meal, all of that. Like, what does that really mean?
Right. What do y'all think it means?
I mean, for most women, I think it means like you're self-sufficient, like you're already good within who you are as a person. So me interacting with you or dating you or whatever is only like it's if I'm with you it's because I want to be, not because like I need something from you or you know. I think that's kind of what it means. I don't know if I explained that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
I feel like when people say that, I hear like I am the complete package. That's what I hear from it. Like,
You don't need
I'm the complete
nobody.
package.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm
it's-
everything.
It's crazy because, like, when you think of the complete package, nobody's actually complete. Right. Because the whole point of a relationship, no matter what kind it is for us to complement one another. But we're in a day and age where everybody is competing. We're competing for attention. We're competing for time. We're competing to see who can outdo the other person, opposed to let's come together and complement. Okay, so you bring this to the table. You bring that to the table. How do we take the two things that we bring to the table and make something great out of it? But it's, again, we go back to the me. Right? So what do you think are some things that lead us into having toxic relationships? What are some...
Childhood experiences.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Can
I
you...
would say, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, expound on that. What childhood...
Whether it's from like society programming or from seeing family members or what you experience in your home.
Yeah.
I definitely think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because everything is learned.
Yeah.
Everything is learned.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Because I think we were just talking about that recently the other day, like how the parental relationship is so key, because especially when you get in a relationship, you pretty much are in a relationship with one of your parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you think about it and you go to the root of it, like you are having like face to face with whatever your relationship was like with, that parent and everything. Is like if you had something between you and a parent or something like that it wasn't said, not dealt with, usually like that stuff comes up for you to deal with because it's a part of your healing really at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's your first relationship in the world anyways, is your parents, that parental guidance, right? That parental figure. Like when the baby comes out, that's the outside of the nurses and the doctors, but that skin to skin that you get, that first connection, that bond is so important. And like you said, like there's no manual on being a parent. Right. So it's like you figure it out, you make mistakes, but we have to be mindful on how we treat the children, right? Because like you said, it's a learned behavior. We don't forget, like, it's funny sometimes us as parents, we don't apologize to our kids, especially in our community.
Man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you just got to suck it up and deal with it.
She come bring you some spaghetti.
That's what I was about to say. That I made your favorite.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Opposed to just saying, I'm sorry, like, I shouldn't have, what you did was wrong, but my reaction to it shouldn't have been that. I should have responded differently.
That brings a whole different dynamic into the whole situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why these kids have tempers. It's because you as a parent have tempers, right?
Yep.
And then, becoming a parent and seeing that your child can pull some of the worst parts out of you out. Like it exposes the worst part of you. The things that you thought you worked on, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, oh, yeah. You forgot about me.
Exactly.
For real.
Exactly. Like even at 7 months, my daughter has pulled some stuff out of me that I thought that I had a better handle on. It's like, oh yeah, nobody told me this going into being a parent. Nobody told me like I'm going to be confronted with the different ugliness of what's inside of me.
Yeah, that's real. Because I know, yeah, definitely for me, like even like with my son, and then seeing like myself as a son to my father, and then seeing the things that I learned from my father being like said, done, or extended to him. And what I'm grateful for is that I recognize it, and I can like check it and be like, okay, I saw where that result was from, and and at least as far as like like we were talking about earlier, that relationship with a parent, I just realized like after years that I didn't take what my parents like didn't do personal. For years I took it personal, like
Yeah.
they did this to me, or what I'm saying, they allowed this to happen to me. But like you said, there's no manual for
Yep.
being a parent, and you really just have to be tapped in, depend on God, and just really, really just use the best wisdom and knowledge that you got to just really give the child everything that they need, really. So yeah, it definitely opened my eyes a lot. It definitely opened my eyes to a whole lot. But it's healthy though. Like
Yeah.
it's a healthy progression.
Yeah, it's necessary.
Hmm.
Did you have anything you want to add?
I was gonna add something.
Okay.
So not only with your relationship with your parents, but your parents' relationship with each other, I feel like, because
That's another
you
great.
learn a lot of sometimes bad habits from watching your parents, seeing them fight or fuss, or
Hmm.
I know for me personally, I know my mom was a very much like hold it down, ride or die, like
Yeah.
type of woman.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, when I got into relationships, it was like, okay, ride or die. I'm in this thing. Sometimes you gotta top off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's important.
Real
And
important.
to know when you
Yeah.
gotta
Right.
to know when you gotta jump off
Right.
of
Over
it.
there, like, you
Right.
gotta
Right.
Like I'm about to die.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And it's just like
Yeah.
let it go. Like that reminds me of a story of my mom coming down. We were in California at a water park. She came down the slide and they were like she goes underwater, she's freaking out. And the lifeguard's like, just stand up. Right? You're sitting there, like, stand up. That's all you got to do is stand up. So it's like, yeah, we're sitting there struggling, we're fighting, we're trying to just like, just get out. And then, that's obviously easier said than done because a lot of times there's emotion, there's connections, there's different things that have you attached. So you can't just, jump off. Even though the train's headed off a ditch, off a cliff, but it's like, or we get into the thought of I can change him or I can change her, right?
Right.
I'm gonna make her better.
That's
right?
That's low key manipulation.
It is. But
When
that
you
was
think
me
about
for
it.
years. That was me. That was me
Mm-hmm.
for years.
I can make a difference. I'm gonna be the one.
Yeah.
You see that potential.
Yep.
That's what it is.
That's the
It's like,
best.
Mm-hmm.
oh, I know. I got a feeling. Oh, I know what you're capable of, or what
Right.
you could
I
be.
see it.
Yep. Yeah.
Glimmer of hope.
Yep.
If they don't see it, then
That's
Yeah.
It's all about that individual.
Yeah.
If they see,
Yeah.
believe, and tap into that potential, like you can see it, and and all that, more than them and everything. But if they don't, it's that energy is just totally different, and they're gonna see it like like they're being pressured into performing or being or something like that because they're just not in that state or that frame of mind to tap into that potential.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why it's important as parents to communicate well with each other. It's like one thing that I've been having conversations with my wife is we have to be mindful how we respond to each other in front of them because they're watching everything we do. They're just little sponges walking around soaking up everything. It's like even at birth they come out and they make mannerisms or do things that are like and it's like, how are you doing this at 2 months old? Like, how do you already do what I do? How do you act? How do you have an attitude like I have an attitude? How on earth do you have? It's like, how do you have anger problems at 4 months old? Like, you angry because you ain't got your bottle. Like, like, where'd you, what I'm saying? It's
in their DNA.
Yeah.
And it gets activated. So.
Yeah. So we gotta. It's important that we're mindful of that. That's why, like, it's important that we jump out of toxic relationships, because if you've seen nothing but toxic relationships your whole life, then that warps your sense of what is love, right? So if you have a man that is used to verbally abusing a woman, or his wife, or his girl, or whoever, the daughter is like, oh, that's what love is, and it's it's weird, and part of them's like, that's not right, but it's like, well, that's how daddy loves mommy, so that's what's acceptable for me. And then the boy is like, oh, that's how you talk to women? Cool. I'll talk to them the same. And it creates that cycle.
Right.
What are some steps to take to identify first that you're in a toxic relationship?
The red flags.
Right. What are the red flags? And let's dive into that. What are the red flags? What are some things that you see, or in past experiences that you've seen and like, nah, it's not that bad?
I'll say someone being selfish, not listening to you, running instead of communicating, being secretive, being stagnant, not growing. To me, that's a red flag, even though it's not directly on me. But if they're stagnant, that's a red flag.
Okay.
I would definitely say, like she said earlier, manipulation. That's a big one. If you constantly find yourself like blaming yourself for things, or thinking you're a problem, your feelings are always hurt, you're always sad, and you're on an emotional roller coaster. Isolation, because sometimes you get isolated from everything and everybody maybe that you were a part of or involved with before this relationship. And like, what else? Just, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank here. Anger, like, if you have excessive anger, you're excessively sad, just like your emotions are all over the place.
Unstable.
You can't focus. You can't, if your world revolves around this person and you're just, it's like you don't care about anything else. You don't care about your own goals. You're not striving for your own things. You're so wrapped up into this person.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something that triggered a thought. Is there a difference between being selfish and self-centered?
That's a good question.
Right. So, so you think about someone that's selfish. Like, there's some things that we just want to ourselves. I think sometimes that's healthy. Like, if you're in a relationship and let's say your mate is like, I want this time to spend by myself, because they need that time to themselves. And let's say they say, Thursday nights, I'm going out with the boys. Right? That's the time that I need to release, to let some things go. Of course, I give you your time. I'm spending that time with you, but I need these moments. Opposed to someone that's self-centered is like, no, I want you around me all the time. I'm checking on you, right? Like, you have to do everything my way, or they only think about themselves. They don't communicate. They don't care about your needs. It's like, how do you service me? So
yes, there's a difference.
So there's a difference.
Yeah.
So, because I hear people, I've been even thinking about that in my own just thoughts and conversations, is we like to say, people are selfish. It's like, well, there's some things that you just hold sacred to yourself. But self-centered is like, we believe that the world revolves around us. So now that's what leads to then manipulation. Okay, how can I get the result I want?
Yeah.
Right? How can I gas her head up so that I can get what I want? How can I withhold something from him to get what I want? How can I, like, even if you think about even stuff like that, it's like, the manipulation is different from men and women, right? It's like, typically it's what can she withhold from him, whether it's sex, whether it's the children, whether it's his time to himself, right? And then what is he trying to get out of her, whether it be, again, sex, whether it be attention, right? What are some other things that men try to get?
Have someone please their ego. I feel that's a big one with men. It goes around their ego. Like,
Absolutely.
what can she do for my ego to build me up?
Absolutely.
A place to stay.
Yep. There you
That too.
A ride.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Those are, yeah. I will say it's always crazy to crazy when I see like a dude dropping their girl off to work and it's like they go home and chill, and that's like every day. And I'm like, okay, something is backwards here.
Yeah.
Like, how are you getting the freedom to, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's always interesting.
Because that's a two-way thing right there. It is what it is.
Okay.
She thinks it's okay. And how he goes about moving things, he thinks it's okay for him to, not be working and out here hustling and doing his thing and to be driving her car. So that both are agreeing that it's okay.
But what if she really doesn't think it's okay? What if she's comfortable with him not leaving the house and her having the car? Well, even though he's dropping her off. But if she says, it's my car, it's her car. So what if she doesn't really think it's okay? She's just comfortable because she knows where he's at.
Right. So that's definitely a good point, because there's a reason that she's comfortable. Because that's still saying yes. Because she's finding comfort somewhere in accepting that, even if it makes her uncomfortable. So almost going back to either like what you're saying with the parents or past relationships, somewhere she probably saw that it was okay to do that, but her intuition is telling her this is not okay, but something that she saw that she put in her mind as normal probably kept her in that situation, or that those relationships too can be codependent in some type of way.
Yeah.
It could be something material, something on an emotional level, like it's like you fulfill me, or fulfill a void to be some type of way, so I'm gonna kind of keep you here. Unspoken, but yeah,
and it could be used as a way of control too.
Yeah,
right, to even let him, again, with the ego thing, like, it's my car, so she has the ability to dictate, even though she doesn't know what he does when he drives off, but then it gives him a sense of power, because he's around his boys like, yo, it's my girl's car, man, she let me drive it. And it just shows, like I said, the codependency, right? Because there might be something that that's toxic in her that he's feeding, and vice versa, right? They feed the toxic areas of each other. So it's like, you're giving me this toxic food, and I enjoy it. That's what allows you to get comfortable. And then we're in a day and age to where we've tried to get away from the God-given gender roles. We're trying so hard to get away from what God...
We are, but I feel like we're also have it at the same time. Because I feel like some people, we're trying to change the gender roles, but we still want certain things to still be traditional.
Exactly.
Right, and that's the confusing part.
Right.
Is, we're let's say, ladies are wanting to do what men do, right? So now that we have ladies trying to do what men do, men are out of place. So now they're trying to fit in what women do. And what we're finding out is neither side is enjoying that, because we weren't built that way. Men were built to go out and hunt, and the women were built to take care of the home. Of course, people will come at me for saying this, and people would get mad, but it's like, that's just how it has been, and it has worked, right? Because, the example is always, if somebody breaks in the house, who's supposed to wake up and go check out what the threat is? Right. The men are supposed to put their lives on the line, but then if we put our lives on the line, but you're not willing to submit to the leadership, right? So you want us to, I shouldn't say you. They want us to go sacrifice ourselves, but then when it's time to make decisions that lead the house in a certain direction, it's like, no, I got to have control of that. And it can't go both ways, right? It's like because we have such a bad view of marriage, right? Marriage looks toxic right now because there's a lot of bad examples of what marriage is. And because we've gotten away from what is marriage, what is the thing that God instituted, right? Because, another part is we're trying to get away from God, right? We're trying to become our own God. So we want to define things that make us comfortable. And it's like, I put this system in place before any of us was even thought of, put on this earth. But we've gotten full of ourselves to think, hey, we could change it, right? Because, we're equal. And it's like, yes, we're equal as humans, but we have different responsibilities. And that's the conversation that's being missed, which is leading to this toxic relationship between men and women today. Is we're equal, right? God looks at us as the same. We all have value as humans. We just have different responsibilities. Case in point, we're looking at how if you look at people that are in two-parent households tend to develop better than those that are from single-parent households. More people generate wealth inside of a marriage opposed to outside of marriage, right? So many people are raised by single parents, right? So there's so many things. So it's like we're seeing a large sample size of what does it look like when ladies are leading children, right? Because if there's not a man there to establish environments for the wife, for the woman to establish the atmosphere, it breeds chaos. So that's a part of the role in which God created us to be. God created men to be the protector, the provider, and the one part that I believe is missing is the priest bringing the spiritual order in the household. And now the woman is to nurture. She is to be the helpmate. Right? We hear people talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, and it's like if you read that text, everything she does is in addition to what the husband does. It's not trying to supersede what the husband does. It's if he falls short in this area, this is where, again, we come to complement one another. Like if I fall short in being able to manage the finances, but my wife's better at it, then she takes care of that. But if she's poor at planning and I'm better at planning, right? So, and I think we've gotten those roles, right? We think those are the roles that we're trying to stop. And it's like, if he's better at cooking, let him cook. If she can't cook, then she doesn't cook. You understand that through the dating process. But because we don't have those tools, then now we get into a marriage that becomes toxic because neither one of us have established what is our responsibility in this household. What is my relation to this household? And like you said, we go into many times we go into toxic relationships because we didn't heal from the previous relationship, right?
Yeah, it's like we collect baggage more and more relationship to relationship. Especially if sex was involved, emotional, like just give that emotional investment. If that's there, a lot of that has a big factor in it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has the biggest factor.
Yeah,
I believe sex has the biggest effect on relationships, especially dating relationships, because it was never intended for us to just freely enjoy outside of the marriage context. So
we've changed that.
Yep.
And that's what I was gonna say earlier. Like I think one of the things that I guess you say yeah contributes to toxic relationships, but that the influence of the culture. So what you see so much of on the programs and movies, TV shows,
Yep.
how your girlfriends act, how the homeboys act,
Yep.
all that stuff. Like in it's become the quality of character to be a good mate, and just a quality person in a relationship. A lot of stuff is like watered down through the years. Like especially that stuff that money can't buy.
Yeah.
A lot of us, especially men, like I'm gonna just throw a bag on you,
Yeah.
and then think that they could, have a pass to be in a relationship or keep a woman or whatever. And women like, this cookie gonna keep him, too. So it's like we use these things that are, they're pleasing and they're good if they feel good in the moment and whatnot, but they don't keep us going in the long run. So it's like we kind of go off of qualities that are more on short term longevity as opposed to things that can last in the long run. Which if y'all come together and marry and have children, then you building a strong family foundation, and then now the generations can be positively affected. But we see now because of the lack thereof, and a lot of us in our community and our families and everything that mom, dad, kind of missed something or messed up, or there's some healing that they didn't deal with that they inherited from their surroundings, parents or whoever that they carried on, acted out in front of us, and once again we thought it was normal, and we stayed in certain types of relationships and disregard the red flags because of a lot of those ideologies that were already in the mind that we didn't take the time to actually examine. Like, this didn't work for mama, this didn't work for daddy,
Yeah.
this didn't work for them, so why am I doing it?
But I think that's also why we've gotten away from certain things too, because I think like the younger generations, like we're kind of social media, we have things at our
Big factor.
disposal, so we're kind of just like, okay, wait, no, we not doing it like they were doing
Uh-huh.
it. Like,
Yeah.
no, my mama did this, but no, I'm gonna do it like this. And so I think we just kind of, I think social media, honestly, I feel like social media is what is killing relationships because we're just like seeing what everybody else is doing. Oh, she's getting this from this person, or we see celebrities and they're getting spoiled by their man. He's buying them.
Yep.
He's buying her a
Yep.
car and all this, and it's like, oh, I want a lamb truck too. I want
Yep.
this. I want that, and I don't know. I think it's that and the music.
Music, definitely.
Mhm.
The city girls. I love me some city girls. But I feel like some people don't know how to. You don't have to take everything to heart and literally like that. You hear and digest. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, I think social media definitely, because especially like Twitter, dangerous, because I feel like relationships are always going that discussion on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. The threads are funny when you see them on Instagram. I don't do too much Twitter.
Yeah.
Because it can be overwhelming on Twitter. But it's like you said, social media has really caused us to not appreciate what's in front of us. Because one, there's so many options at the tip of our fingers.
Right.
Like, I think stuff like Tinder, Bumble, these dating apps lead to toxic relationships because it's, one, for some ladies, it gives them this false sense of, I'm this bomb person because all these dudes want to holler at me. Not understanding that all these dudes just want to get something from you. Right, and then these dudes that are running through the girls are like, "Oh man, my ego, because I can pull this one, I can pull this one," and it's like, both of you are, again, going back to feeling the toxic need in the other person, or it's just for sex. It's not for growth. It's just for like, I just need to get my rocks off.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Right.
So. What do we think? So, what do you think about the lack of self accountability in ourselves that lead to toxic relationships, toxic behaviors, accepting toxic things from the person or the opposite, whoever we're dating or pursuing. What does that play into the toxic relationship?
They go hand in hand. I feel like your relationship is your mirror of your relationship with yourself, and like you said, your parent as well. But it's a mirror of yourself.
Very much so.
Yeah. I say, I don't know. I think I'm the only one that's married on the panel, or in the conversation. Marriage is literally a mirror. It's literally like you look at yourself. Yep. And that's the whole point of marriage, is two bodies becoming one, two spirits becoming one, two entities becoming one. So when you look in the mirror, you see her. And it's not a literal, like you see her, but from a spiritual connection, at least for me, for her. For a wife, it's her husband. It's like when you look in the mirror, you should see your spouse. That's the way it's supposed to be. So I absolutely agree that it's, I forgot the point that quickly. But I agree with what you said. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that accountability.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that reflection, that's a point that she was making.
Yeah, there you go.
A mirror, because that's what a lot of relationships are, really, especially close relationships, even, parental, child to parent relationships are very much a mirror, especially when you realize, who you are as well. And for a lot of people, even when they look at themselves in the mirror, it's horrific. And when you get in a relationship and you don't like what you see in the mirror, because that's the closest person to you, they get a lot of the blame. They get a lot of the projections that come out. And it may not even be, it's okay, and it may not even be personal, but that's just what tends to happen. A person that's close to you, you tend to, kind of, and project things, and things like that. And that's what it exposes. And with the lack of accountability, it's like there's nothing letting you know that, like, all right, that's a messed up part of me, and that's actually me, and that's something that I need to work on, as opposed to like just blame, and finding out this and the other person, and and starting stuff that don't even need to be started up. So that it could be, it's ugly, but the realest thing that anyone could do, coming out of a toxic relationship or begin to go in a relationship, is first examine self, and like accept and be definitely self accountable, and be real with yourself, like about the good, the bad, the ugly. And I think too, relationships need to be open enough. It's good to be with somebody open enough to where y'all can openly talk about, in full honesty, like, this is the good, this is the bad, this is the ugly, this is what I've been dealing with and whatnot. And sometimes we don't disclose certain things because we think we might run them off.
Yep. Yeah.
I agree with what you said, because for me, the accountability didn't come until way after the relationship was over with, because I feel like when you're in that toxic relationship, you can't see it. Everybody else can see it, but you can't. You're just in it. And then, like, once I got out of it, at first you're like pointing the finger, like, no, you were terrible. You did this. You did that. You did this to me. And then after a while, once you, like you said, you make that choice to self-reflect, like, okay, and then you start thinking, well, okay, obviously I had some flaws too, or you know what, I allowed you to do these things to me, or I accepted these things from you, so definitely for me it came afterwards and during that healing process of the breakup and getting over it, realizing that, okay, this person's not just the devil and you were just this angel.
Right.
Because then you'll just start running into the same thing with the next person.
Exactly.
And when that person you start having the same issues, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Man, because that's so key. Because you can miss a whole opportunity with somebody that is pure quality,
Yeah.
and you dealing with a real one, and then they telling you about yourself, like, yo, that's ugly, and then you like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? I can't believe you just said that to me about myself. No one's ever told me that before.
Yeah.
You know, so that's hard to swallow, and we all need somebody who will keep it real with us and let us know, like, you know, all that right there, they don't look good on you right there, and it's affecting us right now. So you need to, you know, so it's, and you gotta be grown. You gotta be mature enough to handle that. Definitely that the accountability, first the self accountability, and to be held accountable in a relationship. Definitely.
Yeah. And then also, like you said, blaming. It's like you, and then it's like if you've been into, let's say, 5 consecutive toxic relationships, at some point you have to say, okay, what is the common denominator in all of these relationships? Oh, it's me. And the toughest part is to say it's me.
That is the hardest part. It's
Right.
definitely the hardest part.
Right? We
Mm-hmm.
all think we're just so awesome.
Right.
We're so
Right.
awesome.
We have like this overinflated sense of self, right? We have this, like, it's good to have a healthy ego. When we get into that toxic ego, like as we were talking about earlier, of I'm the table, right? I'm the prize. Everybody's like, I'm the prize, I'm the prize, I'm the prize. And it's like, yeah, to somebody, but it's not necessarily the person that you're with. And you have to be okay with that. And all have to, again, kill that ego. I've heard it said that ego is nothing but edging God out. And when you sit in, and I think pride also has a large
Right
part
there.
to play in toxicity, is because the pride
That's big.
is, you know, this is who I am. I ain't changing for nobody.
Ooh,
Like,
heard
this
that
is
before.
this is me, right? You just got to take me as I am. And it's like, yeah, no, I don't. Like, no, we don't have to take you as you are. We, like, again, relationships are a mirror, and it's to sharpen, right? It's to pull out the best in you. But it's, again, through childhood traumas, through friendships, through our past. And then, you know, that's the other thing. We don't let go of what happened. So instead of letting go of what happened, you know, we try to bring it into what's next. And, you know, it's important that we understand that we can't do that. Right? We have to know that that it's not healthy for us. Right? So this has been a fruitful conversation. Right? We're gonna take a break. We're gonna cut it right here because, you know, it's getting good. We want to spend time in the toxic part of the relationships. Now we're going to discuss in the next part, how do we go from toxic to purpose? Yeah. Purposeful dating, because it's necessary to know that. Anybody have any last words, last thoughts on the whole toxic discussion? Because the goal is to leave that in this part. Right? And talk about where do we go.
We can still reference on the next one.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, y'all good? Cool. Ladies, we thank you for joining us for part 1. I know y'all will be back for part 2. You guys stay tuned in. You don't want to miss part 2. So, again, hit that notification bell. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Raw on Purpose Podcast. Find us on Instagram at Raw on Purpose _ and on Facebook. You can follow us there. And then email us at rawonpurpose@gmail.com. So if y'all can do us a favor, drop some comments, let us know what you thought about it, and
talk a little. Tell us a little bit about your toxic situations,
Yep.
and you know, the red flags that have been over, all that type of stuff.
Yep.
So yeah,
if there's anything you feel we missed, just pull it out, and we may talk about it on another day. So until next time, it's your boy Zay,
and it's your boy Rashad,
and this is the Raw on Purpose Podcast.
Tap in.
Tapping, tapping. Tap into your purpose. Tapping, tapping. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. We tapping into